What I was doing was buying and selling and flipping Instagram accounts, just like you would buy and sell real estate and flip it for profit. I started in the Instagram world in 2014. So at that time, it was very new. It was very much so the baby platform. Twitter and Facebook, LinkedIn were kind of the big three at the time. And I was working for a PR firm, quit, and decided that I was going to really just face plant into this part of the industry, the social media space as a whole. And I do have a master's degree in social media public relations, which a lot of people at the time were like, what is that? I've never heard of such a thing. And that's exactly why I chose that, because it was such a new concept. But when I got my start in the Instagram space, what I was doing was buying and selling and flipping Instagram accounts, just like you would buy and sell real estate and flip it for profit. So in 2017, I sold my first Instagram account for just under $90,000, which sounds like a lot of money because it is. And it was a very unique time in my career, because in that time, what I was really doing was brokering between Instagram pages and large brands, right? So big brands would reach out and say, Michelle, how much for an hour? How much for 10 1-hour pack, or a pack of 10 1-hours, if you will? How much for 24 hours? All of those things. And there were a handful of clients who would reach out and say, here's a certain dollar amount, Michelle, you need to pay yourself. And then you also need to create ads and create all the copy. And then you need to buy space on other accounts for us with the money that we just gave you. And if you can turn a profit for us, then we'll send you another X dollar amount and you'll keep going. And so the long story short here is that in that process, I just got very, very good at understanding what really actually matters to the consumer and what kind of eyeballs consume what kind of content. And based off of that, how to actually get someone to take their debit or credit card out of their wallet, or to use Apple Pay, right, to purchase something off of the platform. And then several years later, in early 2019, my love of real estate and the mortgage space really came to be, because it was a very underserved and very untapped market, truly. And so I decided that if I could do it for all of these big brands and I could do it for myself, why can't I teach somebody else how to do it? And in 2019, that about halfway through that year, the Beyond the Method program was born, with the premise of teaching people how to use one thing and one thing only, and it's psychology, to actually generate, not in this case for the context of this conversation, leads, right? But in theory, as a whole, generating business is kind of the common theme, but how do we do that through psychology? And I think that that's really the big differentiator for me personally, and really what my company and I do.
And I think it speaks personally to my story. And I think maybe some people will relate to this. The reason I haven't reached out to any of them is because I feel like they're trying to sell me instead of help me. And they're trying to get me fake bot followers, and it just doesn't feel authentic and real. And I love how you take a different approach and you go after the psychology and how you can actually use this to create engagement in your audience versus just numbers. And I think there's a massive difference if you're listening to this. It's the quality, not necessarily the quantity.